Thank you everyone for joining us. My name is Rich Overton. I'm your ops support for today from Include NYC. I want to welcome you all to Include NYC Online, graduating in June 2020. Loren Bohlen and Tamica Castillo will be leading today's discussion. A little bit about Include NYC. For more than 3 decades, we have been helping young people with disabilities, their families, and professionals. We help New York City families make informed decisions about special education, navigate disability services, and advocate for themselves. We were founded by 3 moms who had children with disabilities and wanted to share information with other families. We offer workshops, a helpline, and resources, which we are adapting to respond to coronavirus-related school closures. You can find online workshops, parent support groups, and live streams on the Include NYC website calendar. If you have additional questions or want to speak to an educator for support after this webinar, please call the Include NYC helpline at 212-677-4660. We also have a Spanish line at 212-677-4668. We also have an online help request form on our website at includenyc.org. Please also subscribe to our emails on our website homepage or follow us on social media at Include NYC for updates. And now I want to welcome our guest host for today, Loren Bohlen, Executive Director, Regional Partnerships and Transition, Division of Specialized Instruction and Student Support, Special Education Office, NYC Department of Education, and Tamica Castillo, Transition Specialist, New York City Regional Partnerships Center. Loren and Tamica, I am going to hand it off to you both. Welcome.
Thanks, Rich. And thank you to everyone who has joined us this evening. I'm Loren Bohlen. You also see my colleague, Tamica Castillo. As stated, we're going to talk about students with IEPs who are due to graduate this June. It's important to note that there have been changes this year due to COVID-19 for all students, not just students with IEPs, and there are some things that remain the same. For example, one of the things that's the same is that every student still needs to accumulate 44 credits in order to graduate. Another thing that's the same is that we continue to encourage students with IEPs to pursue the highest diploma option available to them and the safety net options that are available in order to ensure that they have equal access to receiving a high school diploma are still in effect. The way that that all plays out is a little bit different this year, but I do think it's important to mention that, and that for all of the regular guidance on graduation requirements that existed before COVID-19 and that continues to exist, we do recommend 3 places on the internet that you can look at, and a lot of that is still in effect, and they'll be posted, and they're also linked on the tip sheet that you received just a little while ago. So Rich already mentioned the Include NYC website. There are tip sheets there on diploma options and credentials. The second is the New York City Department of Education website on the graduation page. And the third is the New York State website, which is actually where you can find the guidance document and the FAQ that this tip sheet is based on. We also recognize that things have been changing very quickly. What we're sharing with you today is the most current information that we know today. We also know that this could be different next week. So any additional updates that we receive, we will update all of those sites that I just mentioned. If we can update the tip sheet as well if it does become obsolete. If not, then we'll just continue to provide supplemental information as it becomes available. We recognize that there are some things that we just don't know yet because no decision has been made at this time, and sometimes that can be a little bit uncomfortable. One of those things is what summer school is going to look like this year. We know that there's a lot of conversation about that happening right now. And as soon as the final decisions are made, they'll be shared. So having said all of that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Tamica, who will take us through the first part of our tip sheet.
So good afternoon.
Ready, Tamica?
Hi, yes.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. And again, once again, thank you for joining us. I would like to first begin with, if your student or child is planning to receive a Regents or Advanced Regents diploma, we want to let you know that all June Regents have been canceled due to the coronavirus. All students who would have taken the Regents exam this year is exempt from these exams. If your child is enrolled in a class that culminates in a Regents exam, he or she will need to pass the class in order to receive credits from this course. This will also count as if they has received a 65 on the Regents exam for the purpose of graduation decisions. If they did not pass the course, your child will be eligible for summer school instruction and have the opportunity to pass this course in August. But I do want to remind everyone that we do not know how that will look, summer school instruction, yet. More information is to follow for that.
Yes, and I also want to add that since the original version of the tip sheet, we received information that the August Regents are also canceled. So we'll be adding that. It actually should say all June and August 2020 Regents exams have been canceled. So if, like Tamica said, if a student is taking a Regents level class that typically would have culminated in a Regents exam and they pass that class, they will get credits, and for graduation purposes, it will count as a 65, although we'll talk more about that in a minute, because the 65 doesn't actually show up on the transcript, but that's what it's counted as for graduation purposes. And then there is another scenario where, if the student doesn't pass the class, then like Tamica said, they would attend summer school, and if they show that they have mastered the content during summer school, again, without taking a Regents, they would then get the credits for that course. If a student previously took a course that ended in a Regents exam and they passed that class, but they did not pass the Regents exam, they were planning to take the Regents exam again this June, they also may be exempt from that Regents exam. They would just have to show that they were planning to take it again in June. So the staff, I definitely recommend that if anybody has students who are in that situation where they previously did not pass the Regents exam, but they were planning to take it again this June, that you talk to the folks at your child's school and see, make sure that they know that your child was planning to take it again in June. Perhaps they were participating in some kind of a preparation course that the school offered, or the teachers in the school were aware. And so then they also would be exempt from that particular Regents exam, the one in that content area. Thanks, Tamica.
So we're gonna now move over a little bit, and we're gonna talk about students who were planning to receive a local diploma and or a CDOS credential. For students who've met the requirements to earn a local diploma through the superintendent determination and have been working towards earning CDOS credentials, and for any students working towards CDOS and the number of hours of CDOS credential has been currently waived. So the CDOS hours have been currently waived. This CDOS can still be counted towards a student's pathway to earn a diploma. Since the number of hours have been waived, we really recommend that you speak with the principal in your child's school And then the principal will have consultation with relevant staff and make a determination whether the student has otherwise demonstrated knowledge and skills on a commencement level to earn CDOS learning standards. Even though waived exams are considered a 65 for the purpose, again, of making diploma determinations, they are not reported on the transcripts. They may not be used for compensatory pathways to compensate for a score below 65 on a different Regent exam. So I just would like to repeat that. Even though the Regents exams have been waived, exams are considered a 65 for the purpose of making diploma determinations. They are not reported on transcripts, and they may not be used for compensatory pathway to compensate for a score below 65 on a different Regents exam.
Yes. So we're right. Thank you, Tamica. So some of the typical safety nets that are in place were mentioned by Tamica. One of them is compensatory, where you can, if you're eligible, you have an IEP and you get a lower score on one Regent, you can compensate with a higher score on another. So the point with that is that the 65 for the exempt Regents exam cannot be used as a compensatory score, but other scores still can. And if you want to learn more about CDOS, which is the other thing that Tamica was talking about, that stands for Career Development and Occupational Studies. And there are CDOS learning standards, and there's a CDOS exiting credential, and that can be used in place of a Regents exam. So sometimes people call it the 4+1 option. And so that option still exists, but in order to receive the CDOS, you no longer have to have that 216 hours of career and technical education instruction or the 54 hours of work-based learning. Those are the hours that are waived.
For students who are planning to receive just a CDOS or a SAC exiting credential, SAC standing for Skills and Achievement Commencement Credential, or for students aging out, 21 years old prior to June 30th, we would like, and have not applied, we would like to recommend that they apply to OPWDD for eligibility. The first step to do so is in applying for the OPWDD is currently offering front door sessions. Each borough has their own schedule of sessions. You can register by phone or email. The phone numbers and emails have been sent to you on the tip sheet for graduating students. If you did not receive the tip sheet, please let us know in the chat or in a follow-up email, and we will make sure that you receive that. If you did apply to OPWDD and you are trying to establish eligibility for your child, we really recommend that you schedule an appointment with your Borough Transition and College Access Centers, the TCATs. We have them in each borough, the Manhattan, Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, and Staten Island TCAT. You can email them and set up an appointment with the team. They will definitely get back to you for any questions of eligibility that you may have for your child. That information is also on the tip sheet that we can provide for you if you do not currently have it, as we are discussing this now.
Yes, thanks, Tamica. And those front door sessions that Tamica was talking about are being held virtually now by OPWDD, so that can continue even though nobody is actually physically present in the office. So that's That's important to note because that's really the gateway for many of our students to adult services. That's the first step in determining eligibility, and then just in being able to access adult services. And we want to make sure that there's a post-secondary plan for every student who is aging out or graduating this June, and that we're available to assist for students who are still developing those post-secondary plans. So definitely, I just want to underscore what Tamica said about contacting your borough OPWDD office, and the information is there. You also have information in the packet that you received about Access VR and about independent living centers. Those are also great resources that you can utilize. Access VR is not quite as open virtually as we would like at the moment, but that's not a reason not to reach out to them, because our contacts at Access VR are responding to emails, and I know that they're looking forward to being able to support in a more proactive way as soon as possible. So all of those are really great contacts to utilize. And I see that somebody in the question and answer box did ask where parents can contact their transition office if they have questions. And so I want to make sure, again, to underscore something that Tamica said, which is that every borough does have what we call a Transition and College Access Center. We call it TCAC for short, but it stands for Transition and College Access Center. And I think that the contact information is on your tip sheet, but if not, we can definitely post it. And again, even though people are not physically in the office right now, they are working and they are very responsive. And so that is a transition office that you can absolutely contact in your borough with any questions or just for assistance in connecting your child with adult services or college or anything else. We didn't talk a lot about college, but we work very closely with Cuny, and that process is also still in place. They extended deadlines. With all of the colleges, I think, extended their deadlines for this year, and so the TCACs can also assist with that. I'm going to continue to check the question and answer box, because I think that that is the end, right on time. We were supposed to talk for 20 minutes, and we did that. And now we're checking the question and answer box to see if folks have questions. And I see that there are some folks talking in the chat, but I'm not seeing so many questions in the Q&A box. So let me just scroll down and make sure that I'm seeing everybody. Okay, here we go. So there's a great question in here from somebody named Chloe that says, for students who previously passed a Regents class but failed the exam, what constitutes as proof of planning to take an exam? And that is a really good question, because that's an area that has just a tiny bit more murkiness to it than most other areas. So what we're being told is that somebody at the school should know that the student was planning to retake the exam. So either a guidance counselor or a teacher at the school. So that's why I was recommending that you really speak to somebody at the school to verify that they are aware that your student was planning to retake the June exam this year. If nobody at the school was aware, but your child was, taking a free Saturday class at the nearby, whatever, community center, or, well, that can't happen right now, sorry. But if your child was preparing in some other way and you have that information that you can share with the school, then you can have that conversation with them. But really the best way is if somebody at the school was aware that your child was planning to take it. And often there are conversations with either the guidance counselor or the transition team leader or somebody that's advising. Maybe that the high school has an advisory system and somebody is advising the students regarding their course of study and regarding the schedule of exams that are upcoming. And so that's really the ideal way to do that, is to talk to somebody at the school. The next question in here is, how do I know the type of diploma my child will receive, my child who has an IEP? And I want to say to that that's a really important question as well. I'm talking a little quickly because I see there are actually a lot of questions and I want to get through as many as we can. But at each IEP meeting, this really should be discussed. Students who don't participate in standard tests, typically when they're being given, not this year. This year, nobody participates in standardized tests, but when they are being given, students who do not participate in those standardized tests and participate in alternate assessments are not actually eligible to receive a high school diploma. And so hopefully that's made very clear to families during those IEP meetings. If your student is taking standardized tests usually and is on track to receive a diploma, then the question becomes whether they're getting a local diploma, a Regents diploma, or an advanced Regents diploma. Those are the three kinds of diplomas that can be issued. And it really depends, under normal circumstances, it depends on things like how many Regents exams they're going to pass and whether or not they're utilizing those safety nets that Tamica and I both mentioned before. But it's definitely a question that should be asked during IEP team meetings and at any time for the staff at the school. Let's see. There is another question. It's a little bit long, so bear with me. And sorry.
So for Loren, for Shireen,
Yeah.
Hi Shireen, I just wanted to say, if you're looking for eligibility and have not applied yet, you should contact OPWDD. But if you're looking just for establishing eligibility for your child, and you're not sure what that needs to look like and you need some guidance or you need support, you can contact our Transition and College Access Centers. We call them TCAT for short. They're throughout all 5 boroughs, so whatever borough you live in, that's the borough office that you should contact for your convenience.
Yes. And I do see that there are a couple of questions about elementary and middle school students in here, and it is true that the focus of this particular session was on students who are graduating or due to age out or graduate this June 2020. So if you need information about other transition steps during your students' career, school trajectory rather, we're happy to help with that as well, but that was not the intended focus of this particular session. So we're happy to provide information afterwards to the very best of our ability for those guys. And somebody asked, did Tamica say to contact the TCAC Center for finding out eligibility for OPWDD? It's 2 separate things, but they can help you with that. Or you can directly contact the OPWDD office in your borough. So that's fine. Either way is fine. Let's see. Yeah, there's a great question here about if a student is exempt this year for a math or English Regents, how will Cuny handle college readiness scores? Cuny actually was already revamping the way that they look at college readiness and the way that they identify students who may need remedial courses when they enter Cuny. And so I would definitely talk to the counselor at the Cuny office. They're not expecting to have any of those Regent scores this year. They're fully aware of our situation, and we've been working really closely with them. And so hopefully there will be no barriers there. People are asking some logistical questions about graduation ceremonies and diplomas and how they'll be received. And so there too, there hasn't been direct guidance yet. I expect that there will be soon, and I don't know if there will be virtual graduation ceremonies. It's certainly very possible, and I know that every school will make sure that every student receives their diploma, even if it's not in person. Actually, typically, they're not, those are like often fake diplomas that people receive at the ceremony, and then the real one comes later. So everyone will definitely get their diploma who earns a diploma. Somebody said, my daughter is aging out. I'm scheduled for front door on May 14th for the Bronx. That's great that you have that appointment. Once the session is over, does OPWDD email certificate her IEP is done for this year. So what they'll do is they'll contact you. Somebody in the local, it's called DDSO office, will contact you after you're finished with that session. And I don't know where your daughter is in the process, but they will send a letter. It sounds like you haven't received it yet, but they will send a letter stating her eligibility. And once you have that and you know that she's eligible for adult services, then typically you would be assigned a care coordinator. They used to be called something else, so it always takes me a moment. And that person, hopefully, or you can choose actually which agency to work with and to have a care coordinator from. But hopefully that person will help you navigate and make decisions about which adult services are best for your child and how to match your child with the right services so that they're getting everything that they need. But it is a process. Somebody else asked about a virtual ceremony. So unfortunately, I can't predict what's going to happen in 2021. Somebody's asking if they'll have a senior prom and senior trips and whether we can extend the education of some students past this June because of everything happening. Yeah, somebody's asking about extending education until January 2021, and if I can explain more about that, and would they be able to have a graduation ceremony as well as a senior prom and senior trips in 2021. I know students are really missing out on a lot right now, and it is unfortunate, and I also know everyone's doing their best in our virtual world. But that it's not the same. And so there is conversation about whether there would be some circumstances where students could continue their education. Right now, and again, I'm going to go back to what I said at the very beginning, this is information as of today. So right now, that would be decided on an individual case-by-case basis. But, we'll see if there's any guideline or policy coming out regarding that in the near future. There is not right now.
And for Carmen.
So, yeah, excuse me, Tamica, sorry.
Yes, I just wanted to repeat, all Regents Are Cancelled, June and August Regents Are Cancelled. If you have passed the class, that Regents class that you were supposed to take, that will count as you received a 65 on the Regents exam. But as of now, there will not be a Regents exam in June, and there will not be a Regents exam in August.
Thank you. So I do see from somebody, thank you for all the info. My son aged out. I did the front door and received a call from OPWDD, so we're in the process of a day program for my son. So that's great to hear. That's exactly the process that I was trying to explain before to somebody who's just a little bit, you know, behind and should be getting that information very soon. Somebody asked, do you know the reason why students are still required to do work even though school is closed for the rest of the year? And I definitely want to answer that because I'm always careful to say that we're engaged in remote learning now. It's not that schools are closed. Schools are physically closed, absolutely. But at the same time, we really want to support our students and our teachers in supporting our students so that learning can continue. And we fully recognize that it's not the same as when everyone's sitting in the same room together and when physically schools are open. But I can say that teachers who we work with are trying very hard to provide educational experiences for students so that they can continue to learn. And so, you know, I think that that's an important distinction between schools physically being closed and students and teachers engaging in remote learning, which is really what we're doing right now. Let's see what else. We still have 6 minutes. Can a student qualify for an advanced Regents this year? The answer is yes, actually. And the 65, that's a great question. The 65 does not it doesn't get averaged in, so it would not bring down the average score. It's really just for graduation purposes. So students can still receive an advanced Regents diploma this year. The answer is yes. So thank you, Denise. There's a couple of students, which is really great. I'm really happy to see that. And students also, I want to tell you guys who are on here and who are asking questions more general, like what you need to go to college or to finish high school, that we would need more information, but we really want to be able to answer those questions. And so it's not just your parents and your teachers who can contact those transition and college access centers, those TCACs. Students can also directly contact the TCAC, and they will help you, and they'll talk to you about where you are in that process, and they'll assist you. So if you're a student on here, which it looks like we do have some, we really encourage you also. Hopefully you got the tip sheet and you have the information about the TCAC, and if not, we're happy to make sure that you have that information and to connect you with that resource, because I don't want to not answer your questions, but we would just need to talk to you and to get some more information from you. So I just wanted to say that because there's a few of those in here. So somebody did ask what the process for Access VR is like right now. Students still need to apply but have held off. So yeah, we mentioned in the beginning that Access VR is not having virtual sessions right now the way OPWDD is. If you have a contact at Access VR, you can email them and let them know the students' that you want to fill out the applications for. It's really important to maintain that contact with the Access VR personnel so that the second that they can put that information in, it goes through as quickly as possible. So we're happy to provide the contact information for, oh no, you have it in your packet. I'm sorry, I just remembered that. So you have that information in your packet as well. So I would definitely suggest reaching out to them. And I do want to clarify because somebody asked whether I said that students will be allowed to stay in school and not graduate this June if they so desire. I didn't exactly say that, but there have been questions about that, about students who would typically be aging out because they're 21 years old, and whether or not, for example, they'll be allowed to participate in summer school or extend the year in any way because of what's been happening with the coronavirus. And so what I said is that those conversations are happening, and if there's individual circumstances where you feel like that would be really important for a particular student, then you should definitely bring that to the attention of the school and of the TCAC and whoever else can help. But that right now, as of this moment, that has not been determined. And so there's no guidance yet about that, but it is something that people are talking about.
And I just wanted to say, Kai,
yeah.
Kai, you will still need 44 credits to graduate high school. That has not changed, okay? Still 44 credits in order to graduate.
Yeah. And somebody said it's still called a care coordinator. Yes, that is the new name. It used to be a Medicaid service coordinator, and now, yes, Medicaid service, and now it's care coordinator. And is recommending that someone look into self-direction. So once eligibility is established, then you would make a decision about self-direction, and that is a way of accessing adult services that offers some flexibility. Some families find it super helpful. Some do not, because it requires a little bit of work on the part of the family, in my opinion. But definitely it's something to explore, and it works really well for a lot of families. So that's just something to discuss with your care coordinator once you have one, and that they would walk you through that process. Somebody asked about therapies that are being given remotely, and I do know that that is happening, and that there are times when that is very effective. If you have concerns about it, definitely talk to the related service provider and their supervisor if that person is available as well, to see what can be done. You know, I know that they're trying really hard to continue to serve students through teletherapy, through whatever platforms are available to them, and that you know, that should be an ongoing conversation, hopefully, between you and the related services providers that are serving your children. Somebody asked if there will be summer remote learning for students who need to pass their classes, and we did say yes. Right now, no decision about the nature of summer school has been made yet. I'm sure it's going to be made very soon in terms of whether summer school is going to be remote or in person. But what I can say is that it will exist. There will be summer school. It just hasn't been announced yet whether it's going to be remote or in person. Let's see. So, some of these are repeats of what we said. Somebody asked if the IEP application can be finished this year. And I assume that that means that the IEP process started, that there was an initial evaluation, but perhaps it wasn't complete yet when we went into remote learning. And so, oh, I see we're almost out of time, sorry. But I do just want to say, definitely contact the psychologist. If they haven't contacted you yet, they should be, because I know that they're working really hard to complete that process whenever humanly possible. And so I just want to end, sorry. I know that we have to wrap up. I didn't realize what time it was, but I do want to say that for Rich, that Tamica and I are really happy to share our contact information, because I know that we didn't get to every single question on here. That would be difficult because there are a lot of people, 138 it looks like. So we did our best, but we definitely want to be available to you, and we want to also remind you about the TCACs and the Include NYC helpline. I'll do another plug for them. If you weren't on right at the beginning, Rich gave the information about the Include NYC helpline, which is 212-677-4660. If you do have additional questions, you can feel free to contact either myself, Tamica, your borough TCAC, or the Include NYC helpline. We all really want to be here to support you and to answer your questions, and to make sure that we're doing everything that we possibly can. And so we are coming to the end of our session. Rich is going to put up a poll that we would appreciate everyone completing, and we really want to thank you again for your participation this evening, and let you know that we're here for you, and that we hope you stay healthy, and that we hope you take care of yourselves and your families, and we're very thankful that you were able to join us this evening.